Oh boy, it's that time of year again.
I know, the holiday is almost here.
No, dummy, tunes for tots.
Gotta make it deep with them. Don't know if I'll sink or swim. Always standing in the loser circle.
The 7th annual Tunes for Tots matinee show, hosted by Loser Circle, is December 7th at the Midway Cafe in Jamaica Plain. Make a difference this holiday season by donating an unwrapped toy while listening to some of the best bands from the area. This year's show includes KCUF, No Change, and Lesser Devils with special guest One Fall. Tunes for Tots is December 7th at the legendary Midway Cafe in Jamaica Plain. Doors open at 3. All gifts and donations go directly to the Toys for Tots program. You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Today, my friend Ron Sicocchio from Our Brains Hurt podcast is back to talk about his new band, The Blanks. We recorded this in like the summer, and it's now December 2nd when this is releasing. Yeah, you know what? Things happen, right? I was waiting on a song from The Blanks that was recorded, and by the time it got around to it, you know, it's time for the holiday season, and the Blanks are doing a holiday show on Saturday, December 7th. That's this Saturday, at the Pie Shop in D.C. The bill is stacked. You have the Jasons, the Huntingtons, the Blanks, Beatnik Termites, the Stivs, and Dead End Lane. What a crazy lineup. So if you're in the DC area and you're listening to this, head on down to the Pie Shop DC. I don't know what street it's on. I can't help you there, but I can tell you it's in DC, and it's this Saturday, December 7th. So make sure you check it out. It's also presented by Our Brains Hurt podcast, so that's pretty cool. This is episode 304 of the Struggling Artist podcast, Struggling with the Blanks. This?
Ooh, a countdown. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and then here we are. Ron, your beard looks stellar. I lost mine last week.
What happened? How'd you lose it?
I was fucking in a rush and I was trying to clean it up. You know?
I've done that before.
So I actually go to the barber just for my beard. Like he shapes it perfectly the way I like it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was in a rush. I was getting ready to go to a Flatfoot 56 show. And I was like just rushing, and like my bathroom sink is a piece of shit right now, so I'm like using the shower water, and I'm like, you know, and I messed it up. So I took it down super short. So I get there, and me and my buddy, we run into Kyle from Flatfoot like right away. And I was like, hey, man, it's Trev. And he was like, oh, man, I didn't recognize you. He's like, did you have a hat on? It was because my beard. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's crazy how different you look. Like, you don't realize it. But,
I hate it. Dude. I look like Baby Huey. Like, you're old enough to remember Baby Huey, I think.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So, man, hey, thanks for coming back on. It's been a minute since we kind of chatted. You guys just had a banger of a show. You got OBS show.
Yeah, we did. We had Diesel Boy with American Television, Over Our Eyes, and 40 Reps. It was great. We had a decent amount of people come out, and everybody had a good time. And Diesel Boy was super cool. You know, they haven't been to the East Coast in like 2 decades, so they were very cool when they hung out, and a lot of the bands, not a lot of bands, but sometimes you get those touring bands that just kind of hang out in the green room and come out and do their shit and then kind of split. But Diesel Boy was just hanging out the whole time, and there were a lot of my friends who loved Diesel Boy growing up were coming up to me and be like, "Hey, I got to hang out with Diesel Dave," and just talk to him. It was really cool. So everybody had a good time. It was nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
American Television's a band that I like learned about probably within the last year or so, and I dig them. And like I've been meaning to reach out to them to see if they can come on the podcast.
Yeah, they would. They're super cool, and I'm sure they would do it. And they're really fucking good.
Yeah.
Really fucking good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of OBS, our brains are. You guys have been killing it with guests, huh?
We have, we're trying to nail down every former member or current member, because they're back together, of RKL, Rich Kids on LSD. In my opinion, the greatest punk band to ever walk the face of the earth. I know that's blasphemy to some Ramones fans, but I love the Ramones too. But RKL, holy shit, RKL. Anyway, but yeah, we've had on, we had Barry and then Chris Rest and now Dave Ron.
Nice.
Which is also basically Lagwagon.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, so
that's cool, man. It's
been fun.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you guys, like I said, you guys are like blowing up over there. It's cool.
It's funny because this past, when I was putting out like the Dave Ron promo picture for the episode that drops this week, Lagwagon actually like made their own post with it on Facebook and Instagram. So like Matt and I were like, why are we getting all these like follows and stuff? Like we were just blowing up, and then we noticed that like, holy shit, like Lagwagon's story is just full of like our podcast and stuff. It was pretty crazy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's cool. I love when I see people, especially like we kind of just met within the last year, and we all hit it off right away. I went on your podcast, you guys came on mine, and like I felt like we could have did like a 3-hour show on either one of those.
Oh, totally.
So to see like buddies doing well and things picking up, it's awesome, man. I'm always trying to like sit there and like with bands and everything that I'm friends with, like it just everyone needs to elevate. There's no room for the bitter stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, hell no. Yeah. I mean, like Matt and I feel the same way. It's like whenever we see other podcasts or bands we love, like getting like we want everybody to be awesome. I know some, it could be a competition to some, but like, no, we love seeing people. Nothing makes me happier than seeing like cool people getting their shit, getting recognition for what they do, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So remind me again, whereabouts in Maryland are you? Because I see Annapolis a lot when you're talking, right? Are you there?
Yeah, I live in Crofton, which is only like about 10 minutes west of Annapolis. So I'm like I'm 10 minutes west of Annapolis and like 20 minutes south of Baltimore and 20 minutes away from DC. So I'm like right. It's a good place to be because I got DC, Baltimore, and Annapolis right there. Richmond's not too far away. Philly is only 2 hours. New York's not far.
I went. I had a job that sent me to. I forgot the other town. I was in between it. I had to go to Annapolis and I had to go to this other town. We were like rerouting hydraulic lines on Hinckley yachts out there. And we ended up like playing around. Like the last 2 days were just sea trials, so we just like got to hang out on these power yachts and fly around in the water. So
hell yeah.
It was cool.
When was that?
Oh man, this was like 2016.
Oh, okay,
maybe 2015, around that time. Yeah. I was nice. I used to do so. I don't know if you know anything about Hinckley yachts, but like they're just like they don't really look like the huge yachts that you can fly a plane on and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like or a helicopter, but it's like they're just super expensive like power yachts. And
gotcha.
And I used to work for a company and I was like the lead tech. I made all of their control systems, and their control systems you can use like an Atari joystick. And that's how, and it has like bow thrusters. I mean, you look like to get it into the slip on the dock, like at the dock, like you look like a hero. Yeah. Because all you had to do was turn your body around and drive it backwards right in. Like it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I spent a little bit of time. We were only out there for like maybe a little over a week, and I had a blast though. It was like a good time.
Annapolis is a cool town. It's there's a lot to do. It's really like it's very old, but there's there's a good restaurants, cool bars and stuff. It's a cool place.
Is there
for sure.
bands out there and stuff?
So Annapolis is very like if you're going to see if you go to a bar and there's live music playing in Annapolis, 99% of the time it's either white boy reggae or cover bands.
White boy reggae. Sublime?
Because it's like well, I give Sublime a pass. They're not Sublime's the shit. I love Sublime, but like you know white boy reggae. Just bar rock, But so my first band that I was in, the Alements, we used to play Annapolis probably once or twice a month. There was one venue where they would play punk shows, and that venue it was half a restaurant, half a venue, but like right before COVID, they kind of expanded their restaurants. So they stopped doing shows. Well, they used to do shows like 5 days a week. Now I think they only do music like once or twice a week, and it's always, like I said, like cover bands. That's what everybody wants to see. It's like, it's people with yachts coming off the water, wanting to eat some oysters and
Jimmy Buffett.
Listen to Jimmy Buffett.
Kenny Chesney. Like,
hell yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
All right. So I want to kind of reiterate, because we talked, like I said, when I had you and Matt on, we talked about what you guys did with the pie shop. What did you guys do with the pie shop? But I want to kind of talk about it again, because it seems like you guys are gaining more speed. And I know, like, we keep talking about doing something together, and one day we will. I promise.
We will. Yeah.
It's just I think everybody's super busy right now. So
it is. It's crazy.
Yeah. So kind of talk us about what goes on there again with you guys.
Yeah. So at the pie shop, it's a small venue in DC. It's on 8th Street, right downtown in DC. Only a couple of doors down from where the Rock and Roll Hotel used to be, which didn't survive COVID, unfortunately. So the pie shop is a 100 cap room, and they let us do shows there pretty much whenever we want. We usually do about I would say 4 or 5 shows a year, maybe 3, 4 or 5 shows a year there. And a lot of times we'll have some of the like national touring bands, but not the huge acts, we do Blitzkid. We've done Blitzkid a couple times. We do the Dolly Rots every year. We just did Diesel Boy. We had Kepi Ghoulie. So bands like that come through, and we also do local shows. But it's a really awesome room. It actually is a pie shop. They actually serve pie. On like the first level is actually a pie shop where they serve sweet and savory pie. The top floor is a music venue with an awesome deck. They take care of the bands. They have awesome sound. And so a lot of times there'll be a couple. So usually how it happens is in January or February, I'll get contacted by some of the some touring managers, some managers for the touring bands, and they'll hit me up and they'll give me like a rundown of the punk bands that are going on tour, and they'll ask if I want to do the show, and if I think it's a show that would be a good fit for Matt and I and the podcast, and for the local bands that we know, I'll accept it and I'll book it. So it's cool because we give a lot of the local bands here a chance to play with some of those bands, and it's always a good time, and we always bring a lot of people out.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We come close to selling out almost every time we do a show there. We've sold out a couple times. So.
Right on, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I was like talking to Matt one day, and I was like, oh man, because I happen to I get these crazy ideas when I see something, and like Amazon had like a deal on like banners, and I was like, I'm gonna put your logo and my logo on the banner, and I'm gonna save it for when we do something. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So, and he's like, I think we got one. You're all set. I'm like, all right. I get fired up, man, because I've never, I mean, in the years I've been doing this, like I never thought about like booking a show, and then all of a sudden, like I had a house show, and then I had the evening with thing we did, and then I just had another house show recently, and like.
How'd that go?
It went well. We got a little over 30 people, I think, total. Nice. We raised, over $300 for the touring musician. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man. You can't. I had 3 solo musicians. We had it right on my back deck because I was gonna have it inside because I thought it was gonna be too humid to have it outside and it was gonna rain. But we put up a little tent for the equipment, and it went well. And I was like, the next day I slept for like 15 hours. Like I was just my social battery was done, you know, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I know it was a good time. I you know, I was stressed out because that's what I do, you know. I get stressed out.
That's me. That's me and Matt. Like when it comes to booking stuff, I'm the fucking maniac person with anxiety and stress. And Matt's the one that just fucking has a good time. And I need Matt there because I kind of feed off of him and he kind of puts me at ease because he's always having a good time.
Yeah.
I can't always have a good time. That's just, I'm worrying about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm worrying about how many people are going to show up. You know, are the band's going to have a good time? Are people there having a good time? It's just, it's hard for me to relax sometimes when I know that it's our event.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I mean, and I think there's got to be a certain level of, everyone's got to have a healthy level of stress when it comes to that, right? So
yeah,
because you don't want things to just like if you're so calm when it falls apart, you're like, you know, like that might not be the best.
Yeah, yeah, 2 Matts wouldn't be good. Just like 2 Rons wouldn't be good.
yeah. You guys got a healthy balance there. That's awesome.
Yeah, we do. We really do.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
So can we talk about the ailments real quick?
Sure.
Before we get into, so I know you went out to, was it California? You went out to record a couple songs, right?
In Colorado, the blast.
Colorado. I'm sorry. And
that's right. Yeah.
And that was like a big deal for you. I remember we talked about that. Like, you know, that was
back in 2017. We recorded one track with Bill Stevenson off of our latest EP. We recorded that track back in 2017. It just came out. When did I release that? 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
We wanted to do one track at the time. Like Sean and I, and actually 3 of us were turning 40, and so it was kind of like a 40th birthday present for all of us. It might have been a year or 2 after we turned 40, but the idea was to do something for turning 40. But you know, we procrastinate, and that's how.
We all get busy, man. You know,
exactly. Yeah, especially when you're 40.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it only gets worse,
and you fall apart too. Like I just,
totally.
We can get into that later. But yeah, so all right, so y'all did that, and then like COVID happened, right? And that's kind of like it kind of put things like in a limbo.
So COVID crushed us. I mean, the last show the Alements played was in the fall of 2019, and you know, we had that song and that album recorded before then, but we just never got around to putting it out. And we don't have, you know, we've had a couple of different drummers since then, and it's just, and the last drummer we had just decided to not play drums anymore. So we're kind of like in this weird area where like technically we're still a band, but you know, we haven't, like I said, we haven't played a show since 2019. We haven't even been in the same room together since probably about the same time.
Yeah.
We have songs that can be put out and that I know our singer wants to put out that are great songs. But it's just we're all so busy, and it's like with a band without a drummer, it's hard to get hype for that because it's not like you can go out and if we were to put out a song, you can't go out and like, you know, play to support that song because you don't have a drummer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
drummer is kind of key.
Yeah.
Key position.
Now, is there like a, so I mean, it's just on a hiatus or something, right? Until you guys figure it out. So it wasn't like all right, we recorded this thing. We recorded it with somebody we always wanted to record with. We're complete. Like we don't need to do anything else. It's not that then.
No, it's not that. It's just it's in limbo. I mean, it's just like we're on a hiatus. And you know, but like I said, the song that we did record with Bill Stevenson is out. We put it out, I think, a year and a half ago. I put it out with an EP. It's called the EP is called Ale Force One. We do everything with Ale, so instead of Air Force One, Ale Force One. Yeah. That's our clever take on it.
It's a very good album, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I'm a fan of it. I have it in my Bandcamp.
Thanks. So
it's in my Bandcamp.
Yeah. So the first track off of that record, "Right to Hate," was recorded with Bill Stevenson out at the Blasting Room, and he did backup vocals on that song too. So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry. So the Alements isn't like it's in limbo. It will come back.
Yes.
Everything comes back around, right? I mean, you see. I don't know about like where you are, but like here, like I keep seeing all these like reunion shows happen. Well, RKL, right? They just started doing stuff. Like
everything's like a reunion show now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I keep seeing all these like ads for it, and there's a couple I'm like, ooh, I hope this band does it. You know what I mean? Like I would really, be really cool to see this band, but we'll see. But yeah, it's like it's just like I don't know, maybe when 2020 happened, like up until that point, like I hadn't really gone to any shows in forever, unless I was working the venue, right? So like, and then when it happened and like we couldn't go to shows, that's when I started wanting to go again, and I've been going ever since. So maybe that's the same thing for reunion bands. Like no one could play music, and now it's like, oh well, maybe we can make amends with the other band members and do something, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So you have a new project coming on.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about it. The Blanks.
Yeah, the Blanks. Yep.
Now, is it a different sound than the Alements?
Yes. Yeah. So the Alements are very SoCal skate punk kind of technical, very heavily influenced, No Effects, Pennywise, Bad Religion type of sounds. The Blanks are straight up like grungy Ramones core.
Okay.
Which is what I'm a bass player, and that's my shit. Like I'm not a very technical bass player, but I could play fast and I could play steady and I could play, like Dee Dee Ramone and then CJ, those are two of my favorite bass players of all time just because they were fucking like freight trains on the bass, just nothing technical, nothing tough, but they fucking brought it and they fucking... I could curse on this show, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think I started it.
So I'm gonna try to clean things up if if it's just gonna be beeps or whatever. But yeah, so the Blanks are we're a 3-piece, and the original drummer for the Alements is our drummer. So it's me and Dan back together as the rhythm section. And then our friend Justin, who plays guitar for this band called Good Men Doing Nothing out of Baltimore.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Good Men Doing Nothing. Yeah, right. So they're a punk band out of Baltimore, but they're not very... Justin's a very Ramones Corey type of songwriter, and they're not. So he has all these songs that, the band didn't want to do for, just for reasons that's not their sound. And I was talking to Matt one day, my co-host, and he was saying how, hey, this, Justin, we had him on the podcast for Good Men Doing Nothing. He's looking to do this side thing because Matt knew I was like dying to start playing shows again. And Justin doesn't live far from me. He lives like a half an hour away up in Pasadena, Maryland. And I hit him up. I was like, hey man, I heard you got these songs and you're trying to do some side project. He's like, yeah, totally. And he, I was like, Dan, our first drummer for the Alements, I know he'd probably be willing to do it too. So I hit him up, and then we started practicing, I think at the end of April. And we have pretty much a whole set of songs already. And we have some studio dates. We have a couple shows set. We have a lot of people that are like dying to hear us, which is really cool. And it's just a lot of fun, man. Cause like I said, my style, it really fits my style of bass play with the Alements. The Alements are very technical, so I was never really able to totally enjoy myself while I was playing because I was always kind of afraid I was going to fuck up, to be honest.
Yeah.
But this band is just like fucking straight up Ramones core shit. It's easy, it's fun, it's catchy. It's just like we just have a blast, and we're the three of us are super loose while we're playing, and it's just a fun band. I've never been this excited about a project ever, and I think Dan and Justin feel the same. So we're pretty stoked.
So I remember when I had you guys on last time, and we started talking about the Alements, right? And I don't think I asked this then, so I'm going to ask it now because it kind of seemed like the way you guys were talking, like because Matt's band was on hiatus too, right? So
right.
So like. It kind of seemed like you guys were just like good with it, but were you missing that? Were you missing that part of you that plays music?
I was, and I didn't. So not as much back then. It really started hitting me once shows came back. And once Matt and I started doing a lot of shows at the pie shop, going to shows a lot. Every time I would go to a show, I would miss being on stage more and more. And the more shows we did, I just really started to get that itch again. I was fine with not being in a band at first because we were doing the podcasting and that was new and we were kind of figuring out how to get it done. And that was kind of like, that was just as exciting to me as being in a band because like I said, it was something new and we were, we were learning and trying to get our footing down. And once we got the podcasting down, and I started going to a lot of shows, I just really started missing being on stage. And so it was something that, like, especially this past year, I was just like really, every time I would go see a band, I was like, I need to get back up there. And also, like, another thing for me personally, like, when I was in the Alements, I was, so I had surgery about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in November. I had gastric surgery. So I had my stomach, like, 80% of my stomach taken out because I was extremely overweight. And I remember the last time we played a show with the Alements was 2019. And I was just so uncomfortable on stage. I was so out of shape. I was just so like winded and just, I remember playing that show. And the second we started playing, I couldn't wait to get off stage. Like I just wanted it to be over. And it wasn't cool like anymore. It was like very uncomfortable. But once I had the surgery and I started like hitting the gym and
feeling better.
I've lost it. Yeah, I feel better. Even like not like screw like the scale number or whatever. I just feel a lot better. And I'm just ready to do it again and just have fun and just like let loose on stage.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah.
I gained a bunch of weight because of COVID. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude,
I was like, I'm gonna try to help keep these places in, like, I'm like, I would eat out way more because of like,
oh yeah,
I should have been ordering salads instead of burgers. You know what I mean? But
oh hell yeah.
So like, I get it, and like, you get uncomfortable like with yourself, because like I was heavy, and then I had lost a bunch of weight from like just working out and lifting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like I tried like 2020 happened, they wouldn't let you go to the gym, right? They were like, no gyms, and I was like, ugh. And then like it just like, and like now I'm starting to like, I started like dieting again, and I'm like, all right, cool. My new job, like the job I got last year or 2 years ago now, like just from walking around a lot, like I'm like, I started losing a little bit more, and I'm like, all right, I'm almost to that point now where I'm like ready to go back to the gym. But like there's a thing, right? So like I wouldn't, I wasn't in bands, but like I would go to like storytelling events and get up there and do stuff. You know what I mean? I'd perform, or I was like, I was in a couple, like we would do like little like films and stuff like that. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do that anymore because I'm not like, I didn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, dude. And then like, and I'm sure like, there's a like sometimes your headspace just takes over, right? And like you just
hell yeah.
Regardless if you love doing something or not, like your headspace, you're in a weird headspace and you just can't get back to that. So I'm happy that you're at that. You're back to that. You want to play on, you like to perform. It seems like as far as like music, are you more about like, do you like to perform more than you like to write music? You know what I mean? Like some people are the opposite of that,
Yeah. I'm not a very good songwriter. I can write lyrics, but as far as music goes, I'm not. I just like I like participating, and I love punk rock, and I just love kind of giving back, whether that's doing the podcast or being on stage. It's just I just like being involved.
Yeah.
And being in a band. And for all you kids listening, the easiest way to get involved in a band is to play punk rock bass, because I could teach a monkey to play punk rock bass. To be honest, it's like the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
But it's just I just love participating, and I love doing things that make other people happy.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a huge high for me.
And it's a dopamine hit, dude, right? Like
totally.
Yeah. You're on stage performing and you're like, people are like jamming out to you. Like they're out there dancing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better than that. Or just to put out a podcast episode and be like, and just have somebody say, "Hey, man, that was an awesome episode."
Yeah.
There's nothing that makes me happier than that. You know, it's just if I could make somebody else enjoy an hour or an hour and a half, you know, from a podcast episode or 20 minutes from a punk set, like, dude, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's what's cooler than that, you know? Like, even if there's 5 people there, who cares? Like, whatever, you know, it's just participating in punk rock, the genre that kind of helped me out when I needed it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm totally on board with that. Yeah, and that's just it, right? So, like, music has, like, been that thing that's always helped me, too. Like, growing up, it was always there. Whether it was, like, a punk rock song or, you know, just, like the Sad Bastard, like, rock alternative song from the 90s.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And, like...
Hell yeah.
And like do it, like, and again, I started like when this thing took that music direction, I had the same thing. Like, this is me giving back. Like, this is me trying to help these bands that I love so much. Record Club, same thing. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And I'm sure that's why you have the label too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Like, just let it, like, these bands that are in this area that like should be heard, you know, and it's hard to be heard sometimes. It's easier now with the internet, obviously, and with like all the streaming services. It's definitely a lot easier to be heard. But I mean, yeah, I think it's just really important to be able to give back to, you know, the thing that kind of helped you get through the teen years. And that's how it was for me, man. Like, I don't know where I would be without punk.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
It's what I would go to whenever I was, or if I was happy, I would go to it. You know what I mean? It was just something so much bigger than music. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to me to kind of stay into that and to kind of help people within the genre, whether it's people in bands or people that, you know, whatever it is. I think it's just, it's just really important to me to,
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So explain to me what you called it, what, grunge Ramon core, right?
Yeah, like grungy. Yeah, we're not, so it's not, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said grunge. We're not like Nirvana and the Ramones, but more like grimy. Like we're very Ramonesy. We're very like, you know, 3-4 chord songs, super fast, but like super fun too, super poppy. A lot of our songs are, you know, we have a couple. We actually do a 4 Ramon song like block within our set. We have 2 of the 4 Ramon songs now. We haven't done the other 2 yet, but we will have them done before our first show. But yeah, it's just a really fun kind of crowd participatey type of band we have going on. There's a couple songs that we do that a lot of people, you know, we have a lot of friends that want to come on stage and do a Ramones song or do a Screech and Weasel song that we do a cover of, and we have this song called the Brooklyn Hot Bop, which is like this crazy weird dance song that's kind of like modeled after Rocky Horror Picture Show dance mixed with like, you know, crackheads from Baltimore. But, you know, more to come on that one. But
yeah.
You know, it's just a fun, silly, awesome band.
Yeah. That's awesome. Have you guys played any shows yet or not? Not yet.
Not yet. So our first show is August 31st at the Depot in Baltimore. Okay. And then we're also playing Our Brains Hurt podcast is actually getting our own beer, an oatmeal coffee stout.
Can you slow it down a little bit? I still haven't had your coffee.
Sorry.
Now you're doing a stout.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So I have some buddies of mine from work that actually opened up their own brewery a couple years ago, and so Matt and I are huge stout fans, and I was talking to my friends at the brewery, and they're. In a couple weeks, in the middle of August, Matt and I are going to go to the brewery and actually start the brewing process for this coffee oatmeal stout. Our Brains Hurt coffee oatmeal stout, and the beer release is going to be September 21st at True Vale Brewing Company in Haymarket, Virginia, and the Blanks will be opening that show, and we're playing with 40 Reps and CBGB DC, which is an awesome cover band from DC who does like old school punk covers.
That's awesome, dude. 40 reps. I remember when we talked last. You told me to check them out. They're good stuff.
So good.
They're definitely not like what I saw. Like I saw their name and I was just thinking like a crazy hardcore band, but it's not that at all. You know what I mean? But it's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Really good.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You guys got a lot going. How am I supposed to fucking catch up to all this, dude?
I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so September 21st you have a beer coming out. And then you guys are playing a show. Your first show is going to be August 31st.
Yes.
And where was that at?
The Depot in Baltimore.
The Depot in Baltimore. Okay. Sorry, I'm making notes as I come
No, it's cool.
here.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of stuff, dude. You got a lot going on. That's cool. Is Matt getting a new band?
Matt, so not as of yet. So Savage Remains might be putting some stuff out coming up. But so our band, The Blanks, we do a Screeching Weasel cover of My Right. And whenever Matt is at our show, he will be coming on stage and singing that. And
Nice.
he might be hearing this for the first time now, but Matt, you're singing this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I tell you, like the last time you guys came on and he's like, here, use this song from my band. And then I was like, oh, this is your band? So I had like a bunch of his records because Bree sent them to me, right? So
nice.
And I was listening the re-release there of what was the one that you put out for him? It was the New Disease, something like that. I'm butchering it.
No, New Disease was before Snubbed. So
okay, yeah. But didn't he do a re-release of it, or
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
we did the End is Nigh.
End is Nigh, yeah. So I had a bunch of those, dude. So I was
That's a good record, yeah.
I had I didn't have I had a few of them, but so I sent them out with the record club for we do like a golden ticket. So I pick a name at random every month, and I just sent out my last copy. Well, I have one for myself, but I sent out my last copy of that too. So that's So I was like, oh, I know this band because I was listening to it. Like he wanted me to play. He wanted me to play the Mad Max song that they did. Doom Boy. I'm so bad. He's gonna be like, what the hell? You didn't get anything right but the band's name. So anyway, I put out this one song and it's a banger of a song too. So I put that one. So what I did was I think I put your song at the end and I put his song in the beginning of the episode, which is something I've never done that before. So but it worked. And cool. And I was like the freaking chorus to it is so good. It's like you live, you die, you live again, see you in Valhalla. And I'm just I just want to drink beers and just scream that at him.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, hell yeah.
I think I'd get in trouble hanging out with you two. To be honest,
you would. But we got to do it.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
I got to see Bree this past weekend. Shout out Bree.
Yeah, shout out Bree. She got an episode coming out too. That
sweet.
I talked about the fest bands and all that stuff too. So all right, but before we get back into everything else, I'm going to sidebar one more time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. Hopefully, I'm saying this right. Snubbed by Allegedly. Did I say that right?
Yes. Yep.
All right, because I think when she was on, I'm like, what's it called? Allegedly Snubbed.
Snubbed by Allegedly.
Yeah. So how's that going? She kind of broke it down for me, but let's hear let me hear your truth about it.
My truth. Yeah. So first of all, I love Bree. She's one of the coolest chicks I've ever known in my life. And so she runs Allegedly, I run Snubbed, and she wanted to do something together for bands that it's not. When I have a Snubbed Records band, I usually put some money into it. Sometimes a lot, sometimes depending on the band and what they want. But Snubbed by Allegedly is just kind of like a promo type of thing where the bands that we and one of us will find and like, and if we kind of agree on a band, we'll help promote their stuff. Bree has been doing 99% of it lately because I've been super fucking busy with other shit. But she really put this thing together, and it's cool, and we've had a bunch of releases so far, and like I said, it's more of a promo thing than like a label,
Yeah, like a
It's just
spotlight, kind of like a spotlight kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's
exactly.
cool. That's cool.
But yeah, it's cool because and some of the bands that she finds are awesome. And some of the bands we've both worked with in the past. But Bree is just one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life, and she's just Bree could call me up and say, "Hey, I have this idea. I want to do this," and I would just be like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Yeah. She throws me ideas, and then she's like, "Hey, can you just look something over for me, or listen to this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do that." Like, anything she asks, I do. Anything, but like, she keeps asking me to do a review, and like, I am so sick of writing reviews. Like, I've been burnt out from reviews for like almost 7 years now. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and then all of a sudden, like, I don't.
Did you used to do reviews?
I used to I did them for like a horror movie website, and
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I've come out of retirement a couple times. Retirement, never got paid. I've come out of there's been a couple shows I've gone to that I feel like needed to be documented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've like reviewed a couple of shows, and like she's seen those, and that's why she's like, "Hey, I need you to do something."
Nice.
Like, but I am going to do, it's just so hard right now. Like, I'm so busy, and like we all are, right? So with it, I don't know if she like, we'll talk after this, but like, there's a project that she's got like in her like manifest of who's involved. Like, it's like pretty much all of us that have like talked, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So, so like, but it's just like right now everyone's just busy. I know everyone's busy. Your podcast is busy, your band now, and and I think the reason why, another reason why, like, we'll not overbook ourselves, but we'll take on more projects. Like you're saying, she says something to you, you're like, "Yeah, let's do it," is because there's not like a lot of people will talk about doing things, and then there's only a select few who do it. Right. So whenever we can offer support, we do it. And that's
totally
cool. And like, she's kind of like the centerpiece of this, right? She's kind of, she like found all of us misfits, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she did. She really did. She put together this weird family.
Yeah. And it's like, and like, it's great. It's cool. Cause like now, like, like you, Matt, and Paul and I have that thing where I'm like, "Hey, if you guys have a band that like you think needs to get on some podcasts, just throw their name here, throw their music, and we can work." You know what I mean? Like, she's started this huge ripple effect.
She really did.
And like, I don't think she gets enough credit. You know what I'm saying? So
no, she doesn't.
Whenever we can kind of spotlight on her, so she's the best. So, and that's a cool idea what you guys are doing with Snub by Allegedly. So are you still I'm sure it's slow at the moment, but like, or maybe it's not. But like, are you still doing like Snubbed? Are you still putting out albums and stuff for people, or?
So I started up again earlier this year. I have one band only, and they're from Brazil. Statues on Fire. So I'm kind of like I paused it for a while. COVID fucked everything up, but and it was getting so when I started Snubbed, I took on way too much. I had like 15 or 16 bands at one point,
and it's just you.
Yeah, and it's just me, and I had and my friend Tom was helping me as well. But it was just the two of us. And we had a band in Brazil, a band in Germany. It was crazy. It was way too much, and it was just. And I'm not a good business person because it's hard for me to say no. Mm-hmm. Especially when it comes to people I know. Yeah. And so when people are like, "Hey, can you put out a record?" There might have been some records that I put out that maybe weren't ready to be on a label that I did anyway.
Yeah.
And it was too much money going out and nothing coming back in. And it's and then I had, my daughter started college 2 years ago. Things changed for me. So I kind of put things on pause. And a bunch of the bands that I was working with were cool enough to be like, "Hey man, we have this other person who wants to put out our next record." And I was just like, "Yeah, fucking do it. Do it." So I kind of shut it down for a second, but then that band Statues on Fire in Brazil put out a new record last year. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." they should be on Fat or Epitaph. They're an amazing fucking band. But so right now, that is the only snub band. The only official snub band
At the
right
moment,
now
yeah.
is Statues on Fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm open to it, and I'm just kind of, it's there, you know, it's something that if something were to catch my ear and, you know, I wanted to do it, I could do it. But right now my focus, you know, number one is the podcast. You know, we've been doing that for 4 years now, and we're getting good guests, and there's a lot of cool shit coming up, and, you know, and then the blanks, you know, those are kind of like my two things outside of family, of course, that I'm kind of like focusing on.
Yeah. Family. What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No doubt. Yeah, man. I think about like how I would do it if I had a label, and like I'm an asshole when it comes to business. Like I had a business for over 10 years, and like the only reason why I don't anymore is because I couldn't keep up with fuel costs, right? Because like gas was just got out of hand.
Yeah.
And like I think about that, and like so like if I'd like every band, if I was to do a label, and I would have to have like stipulations for, I mean, it would be case by case, but like, you know, if I'm putting your shit on vinyl, like you're guaranteeing me you're going out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's stuff like that, you know, because it's tough, man. It's tough, and it's expensive. Like it's
super expensive,
man.
And that's how you have to be. You have to be like that. And I was just saying yes.
Yeah.
I was just because I have a hard time telling people, especially people that I like and know, no, you know, and it sunk me.
Yeah.
It was just, it just wasn't sustainable. I mean, there was bands that I was paying for their studio time, or I would pay for their studio time and their vinyl, or one or the other. And it was just like, I would pay to like press 100 records and they would sell 6.
Yeah.
And that's just not
that's a real thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's those are literal numbers. I'm not just exaggerating, you know, like,
and like you could get 6 records pressed. You're gonna pay like $80 a piece for those 6 records. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, I know. So and 100, like even that, like that's usually a low number, right? That's usually not enough. Like you know, these pressing plants want you to do 250, 500,
250,
you know,
especially,
so
yeah.
So you know, man, hey, like. You learned, and now you revamped, right? And it seems like you're taking the right steps right now. And then focus on the band, focus on your band, focus on, you know, what you do, the spotlight stuff, because that's how things are going to start picking up speed again, is by doing these things.
Like that one band that I have, Statues on Fire, they tour. You know, they toured Europe earlier this year. And you know, I do have distribution. I work with a distributor, so I do have that going for me. And they've sold I only did their CDs this time. The first album I did vinyl, but I couldn't afford it this time. But I just did. So if you get their latest album in North America online, it's from Snub Records.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, it's so that, you know, I have to be smarter about it. But I hate sounding like a dick, even though you're not being a dick if you just. You know what I mean? It's just hard. It's a tough. It's a hard.
Well, you just said it like earlier. You like to make people happy. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be like, you know. And sometimes those are tough conversations. So like when I go in with the record club, like I'm like, hey, I go to the band or I go to like the label, and I'm like, listen, like I don't want you to think for 1 second like you have to do this with me. You know, I want like my thing is like I want like there was a band I was like they were like we're gonna like, you know. They were going to lose money by giving by selling me the record and for X amount of copies, and I'm like, I don't want you to lose money. They're like, well, it's going to be better in the long run because now we're gonna have a bigger reach, right? A little more of a bigger reach. I'm like, okay, if that's the way, because like I'm always like, hey, I totally understand. Like if you can't afford to drop the price to what I need it to be in order for me to buy all these. I get it, you know, and like it's just, you know, it's just business, and like, but there's been bands too, and I'm like, hey, I still want you to come on the podcast. Like some people, I don't want them to think like you have to sell me you have to sell me 30 copies of this record for what I want for you to be on my. No, that's not how.
Or I never want to talk to you again.
Yeah. Because like to me, it's like, all right, do they both fall under the same umbrella? Yeah, but they're different things. You know what I mean? So So if I was to do a label, that would be another thing. It would fall under the umbrella, but it would be its own thing. And like that's just like that's business stuff, you know. Now I'm never gonna be like, you know, I'm not gonna like be like, you know, steal people's music. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna, you know, I wouldn't do anything like that. But again, if I was putting out like if I was putting something out on vinyl for a band, like I'm expecting like, hey, you guys are gonna put in the work. If we're, you know what I mean? Like that's just,
Totally, yeah.
You know, I can't just go out and sell them all for you. You know, they don't want to see me. You know?
Yeah, I think the minimum requirement should be that they should be able to tour.
I think so.
You know, and I know that's tough, but it's like if you're not touring and you're not playing enough shows, and you're not, it's all about shows these days. I mean, like whether it's a festival or a tour or whatever.
You gotta be able to move the copies, right? 'Cause people are gonna listen
don't
to
have
it.
That much money.
Yeah. People are gonna listen to it on Spotify regardless. So now you gotta move this. You show them like by doing these shows in their towns, like you're giving them respect too. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, we're willing to put in the work for you. So I'm still like I've been mapping it out for a few months now, and I'm not like maybe by mid next year I'll have a plan. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking it very, very slow. Like I've had a good run with every business I've had. So like I don't want to have one that just like boo, you know, because I
hear you. Yeah.
I had one when I was down in I was a consultant for this my buddy's bar and restaurant in Tennessee. It was an area that was dry county they were allowed liquor like for 2 years before we got there. So when I
Where
was
in Tennessee?
This was in Lawrence County, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Okay.
And so like people kept wanting to learn how to tend bar, and I'm like, maybe I should just start like a bartending school. But a good, by the way, was that a Gansett I just saw?
It is, yeah.
That's my favorite beer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like I was like, maybe I'll start like a bartending school. So I wrote like a textbook on how to like tend bar. Like,
oh nice.
And I focused more on guest service than I did on like making drinks. Because again, like you were saying, you could teach anybody to play a bass. I can teach anybody to mix a drink. It's about how you react with your customers, you know, how you interact. So someone was like, hey, I want to have your service, because they were opening up a bar and restaurant in the town. I'm like, all right, cool. And like in the 11th hour, he like bailed, but he still paid me. And that paid for I made it was like not much of it. I mean, I'm making a profit without even opening the business. It wasn't, it was just like a couple $100, but it paid for all my overhead. And I made a couple $100 just to be like,
nice.
All right, well, you know, you booked me, so you got to pay me something, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so if I was to do a label, it'd be like, well, it's got to be a whole lot of planning and stuff like that. And I'm just like, we'll see, you know?
And it's tough because bands could do so much themselves now. You know, you could download it, you could put anything on all the streaming services yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, the one thing that I have that bands can't get is distribution for physical
media
content, which is like records or CDs, whatever. But you know, anything else, if they just want to be digital, they don't need a label for that, and that's what's kind of tough. So
well, I'm glad you're slowly getting back into the swing of everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, not that you were like, you know, you weren't out of it. OBS is doing very well, as we talked about at the beginning of this, beginning of the podcast. So, and then you have this new band, The Blanks, and that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
I'm pumped for you there. I'm going to have to figure out if September is a good time for me to come out and maybe catch a show and drink a stout.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I got to, how can I get coffee? Are you still doing it?
Yeah. So give me, when we finish tonight, give me your address and I'll mail you a bag.
Sure. I don't want to give it to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, you can if you want.
That sounds
Everybody
good.
mails something to Trev randomly.
Yeah. Just like I get like a doorknob, you know.
4 dildos and a doorknob.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I saw a post. I had a Instagram story up the other day, and it was about it was a simulation. It was a simulation post, right? And I saw the thing you posted today about the glacier, and you're like, "How are we not in a simulation?" So this is what I wrote the other day. I said, if I was to sign on with this, like we're in the Matrix or in a simulation kind of
Join
thing.
the club, brother.
I
Join
said,
the club.
I was like, I think I would use like, why does 60 degrees outside so much different than 60 degrees inside? And then, but with the heat on, and then it's different from 60 degrees with the AC on. Why are they all different? Like, it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, it should be the same temperature no matter where you are. I understand, like, if there's sunlight when you're outside, but the AC and the heat thing doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
It is a very weird thing. It is because we live in a simulation, 100% guaranteed, no doubt about it.
I love it. When I had you guys on before, we started talking about conspiracies and stuff.
Yeah, Matt's good for that, too. Yeah.
All right, so when this drops again, I think it's going to be close to September. Hopefully, you guys have music out by then. Everyone should check out the Blanks, and and if you're in the areas that that these guys are going to be playing shows, make sure you check them out. Also, check out Our Brains Hurt, the podcast. It's a lot of fun. They get a lot of great guests, both on like the independent scene and on more of the national scene now. If you want to hear a really good episode, check out their episode they did with Fat Mike. You had one of the, I'm sorry, what Ramon did you have on not too long ago?
Who? Which one?
One of the Ramones.
Oh, Richie Ramone.
Yeah. That was a great episode too, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know if I messaged you guys, but that was a really good episode. Like he's
awesome. Thanks. Yeah, we had him on the first. He was like our 5th or 6th episode when we first started the podcast, and so this was his 2nd time on. But he's really cool to talk to. He had some cool Ramones story. Obviously, he was in the Ramones.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, all right. So now let's tell everybody where they can find you on social media, websites, all that stuff.
Yeah, go to ourbrainshurt.com for the podcast or any social media at ourbrainshurt. Check us out you can check out The Blanks on Facebook or Instagram at The Blanks Punk Rock, because there is an a cappella group called The Blanks. So The Blanks Punk Rock.
Okay.
You will find us on Facebook and Instagram. So and just you can hit me up. You can find my stuff and from any of those sites. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Ron, it is always a pleasure to talk with you. You are one of my favorite Italians.
Hell yeah.
You're one of my favorite Italian Americans.
Brie, fuck your spaghetti sandwiches.
And man, like when things come back around, come back on. We can always.
Sure.
I want to try to plan something with like a bunch of us podcasters to do something. So maybe
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Because we would have a blast.
Yeah, 100%. So it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and we will catch you soon.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. I love you guys. Love you. I love and everything you do. Like, just come down to DC.
I will.
Down to DC.
We're gonna make something happen.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
I get plenty of time off, so it's not like I just got to do it.
We might be doing a show in December, so I'll keep you posted.
All right. And that's the show. I want to thank Ron again for being today's guest on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you'll have links to the Blanks. I'll put a link in there for Snubbed Records and another one for Our Brains Hurt Podcast, which is also a sponsor of the Struggling Artist Podcast. Thank you to Jeff and Chris doing what they do, helping me produce the podcast and what we have going on. Please give them a follow over on the Instagrams. You can find Chris at CCChavez13 and Jeff is JRB Image. Don't forget you need your little @ symbol before those when you look on Instagram, or I think you do. I don't know. I'm really bad at the social media part of the world. Thank you to State Line Records for being sponsors of this podcast. They've been a sponsor of ours since 2021. Much appreciated, Mark. Everyone over at Patreon supporting us. If you want to see what's going on over there, head over to patreon.com/podcast TSA. The tiers are I think they're affordable. They're quite affordable. And all the contributions help us do things like events and stuff like that. And I think in 2025 we have a project coming up, so that would be awesome. You'll be an executive producer of said project. So thank you everyone over there supporting us, and go check us out and see if you want to support us. Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast. If you're a new listener, stick around, please. You can find our old episodes, right? We have the Struggling Artist Podcast Archive, which is episode like 1 through 250 or something, and then I think I dated it back, so like 247 or 248 and on is on this feed where you're listening to this right now. There's tons of episodes out there. Give us a listen. It'd be a lot of, much appreciated. Let me know what you think. And by letting us know, you can email me, Trev at thestrugglingartistpodcast.com, or you could call and leave a voicemail message or text the number 774-570-1552. That is the Struggling Artist Hotline. Once again, 774-570-1552. It is time to get out of here, and Ron was kind enough to give us a song to play at the end of this episode. Once again, though, before we play the song, if you are in the DC area on December 7th, make sure you check out the Pie Shop for the awesome Our Brains Hurt Podcast Presents show. With the Blanks, they'll be on there. The Jasons are playing, the Huntingtons, Beatnik Termites, the Stivs, and Dead End Lane will also be on the bill, and that is in Washington D.C. at the Pie Shop. All right, so the song we're playing tonight is from the Blanks. The song is called, it's a Christmas song, I believe. It is called D.D. Wonderland. Until next week, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you then.